Real, scary videos that will terrify you. Say that again. Real, scary videos that will terrify you. Not staged, not scripted, not actors in costumes standing under fluorescent lights, reading from a teleprompter. What you are about to witness, what you are about to hear, comes from real footage, real places, and real people who had no idea that the moment they pressed record would change everything they thought they knew about the world around them. There is something deeply unsettling about video evidence of the unexplained. A photograph can be dismissed. A story told around a fire can be laughed off in the morning. But a video captures something permanent, something that cannot be taken back, something that sits inside your mind long after the screen goes dark. You are watching this right now, and somewhere inside you, something already knows. Something already feels it. That slow crawl at the back of your neck. That strange weight settling in your chest. That quiet voice whispering in the deepest corner of your mind, telling you that some things in this world do not have a reasonable explanation. Some things just happen, and when they are caught on camera, the world is never quite the same. Tonight we are going to walk through that darkness together. Tonight you will see things that cannot be unseen. So take a breath. Turn on every light in the room if you need to. And whatever you do, do not watch this alone, because what happens next is going to stay with you. Every single piece of footage you are about to encounter comes with a story, a location, a person, a moment in time when an ordinary camera captured something extraordinarily wrong. And as we move through each case, slowly, carefully, without rushing, you are going to feel it, the shift in the air, the weight of something watching, the deep, hollow certainty that fear is not just an emotion. Fear is information, and tonight the information is terrifying. We begin in the state of Oregon, year 2019. The place, a stretch of rural highway running through the Cascade Mountains, where the Douglas fir trees grow so tall and so dense that even on the brightest afternoon, the road beneath them sits in permanent shadow. There is a rest stop along this highway. Nothing remarkable about it. A few wooden picnic tables, a pair of concrete restrooms, a parking area. Travelers have stopped there for decades without incident. But on the night of October 14th, a truck driver named Marcus Webb pulled into that rest stop at approximately 2:17 in the morning. He was behind schedule. He had been driving for 11 hours straight. He needed 20 minutes of rest before he could safely continue. He parked his rig at the far end of the lot, cracked the window slightly, and closed his eyes. He had a dashcam running. He always had a dashcam running. It was habit, company policy, something he never thought twice about until the morning he reviewed the footage. What the camera recorded during those 20 minutes of supposed rest is one of the most disturbing pieces of footage ever submitted to our research team. For the first 8 minutes, nothing happens. The parking lot sits empty and still. The trees beyond the concrete barrier stand motionless. There is no wind. There is no sound that the camera's external microphone can detect beyond the quiet idle of the engine and the distant whisper of the highway. Then, at the 8-minute and 43-second mark, something moves at the tree line. It is subtle at first, so subtle that Marcus himself did not notice it on his first review of the footage. He was looking for something more obvious, something that might explain why he woke up in a cold sweat with his hands pressed flat against the dashboard and every muscle in his body rigid with an instinct he could not name. But there it is, in the upper left corner of the frame. Movement. Dark, low, deliberate movement at the base of the tree line. Something moving parallel to the parking lot, keeping just inside the edge of the forest, staying in the shadow where the camera's night vision could not quite reach. It moves for approximately 40 seconds. Then it stops. Then it turns. This is the moment that security researchers, documentary filmmakers, and ordinary people watching from their living rooms cannot explain. Because whatever is standing at the edge of that tree line in the upper left corner of Marcus Webb's dashcam footage, it turns and it faces the truck. And for the next 6 minutes and 18 seconds, it does not move at all. It simply stands there, looking. Marcus woke up at the 9-minute and 50-second mark. The timestamp is clear. You can hear him shift in his seat, hear the soft sound of someone startled back into consciousness, hear the particular quality of breath that belongs to a person whose body woke them up before their mind understood why. He does not look at the tree line. He checks his mirrors. He starts the engine. He pulls out of the rest stop and continues down the highway. The thing at the edge of the tree line does not move. It is still there, in the exact same position, when the headlights sweep across the lot and the camera turns away. Marcus submitted the footage to the Oregon State Police. He submitted it to a local paranormal research group based in Portland. He submitted it to 3 different independent video analysts, each of whom reviewed the file separately, without knowing what the others had found. All 3 analysts agreed on the same thing. Whatever is standing at the edge of that tree line is not a reflection. It is not lens distortion. It is not a natural shadow formation created by the surrounding trees. It is a shape, and it has depth, and it has dimension. And at the 6-minute mark of the 6 minutes and 18 seconds during which it stands completely still, it moves its head, just slightly, as though adjusting its gaze, as though following something it cannot quite see inside the truck. Marcus Webb no longer drives the Oregon stretch of Highway 58. He has not spoken publicly about the footage since submitting it. The last contact our team had with him, through an intermediary, consisted of 4 words written on a yellow notepad and passed through a mutual contact. The 4 words were, "It was watching me." There is no comfortable explanation for what was recorded on that camera. There is only the footage and the darkness at the edge of the tree line, and the 6 minutes and 18 seconds of absolute stillness that followed. Check right now if you are already subscribed to this channel, because we go deeper into cases like this one every single week, bringing you documented footage, verified accounts, and the stories behind the most terrifying moments ever caught on camera. If you are not subscribed yet, you are missing everything that happens after tonight. Now we move forward, because Oregon is only where we begin. Opens in the state of Louisiana, in a parish outside of Baton Rouge that most maps do not bother to label in any significant detail. The land there is flat and wet. The air carries a particular weight to it, thick with humidity even in November, carrying the smell of still water and Spanish moss, and something older that sits beneath both of those things, something that belongs to the soil itself and does not have a name that translates cleanly into English. The house at the center of this chapter was built in 1923. It passed through several families over the decades, some staying for years, some leaving within months, and at least 2 who left without taking any of their belongings with them. Real estate records show a pattern of short tenancies and abrupt departures that stretches back to the 1950s, but this pattern was not something the Caldwell family knew about when they signed the lease in August of 2021. Devon and Patricia Caldwell moved to Louisiana from suburban Ohio. Devon had taken a position at a manufacturing plant. Patricia was working remotely. They had 2 children, a 13-year-old daughter named Ella and a 9-year-old son named James. They were an ordinary family. They were people who did not think much about the history of a house before moving into it. They cared about square footage and school districts and whether the kitchen had been updated since the 90s. They moved in on a Saturday. Devon remarked later that the house felt cold, despite the Louisiana heat. Patricia said she had noticed it too, a particular coldness that seemed to concentrate in certain places, in the long hallway connecting the bedrooms, at the top of the stairs, in the corner of the kitchen where the linoleum floor had been replaced but the original tile was still visible beneath it. Ella set up a camera in her room on their 3rd night in the house. She was 13 years old and interested in making videos for online platforms, bedroom decoration tours, study sessions, casual commentary, the kind of content that teenagers create without any particular ambition, simply because a camera in the room has become as natural as a mirror. She pointed the camera at her desk, set it to record while she did homework, and forgot about it. She reviewed the footage the next afternoon. She found the footage at the 2-hour and 11-minute mark. The camera is aimed at her desk, and Ella is sitting at the desk, working on something in a notebook. Her back is to the camera. The room is lit by a single desk lamp. The bedroom door is closed. There is the ordinary ambient noise of a house settling, the creak of wood, the distant sound of a television from somewhere else in the building, the particular quiet of late evening. At the 2-hour and 11-minute mark, the bedroom door opens. It opens slowly, all the way, until it is standing wide open against the wall. Ella does not react. She continues writing. She does not hear it. She does not look up. The door stands open for 47 seconds, then it closes. It closes with the same slow, deliberate movement with which it opened. Not suddenly, not with a draft. Not with any of the explanations that a reasonable person wants to reach for when they see something like this, because reasonable explanations are the thing we use to protect ourselves from what we actually witnessed. The door closes at the same speed at which it opened, controlled, intentional, and as it closes, in the narrow vertical slice of hallway visible through the shrinking gap between door and frame, there is something there. Something standing in the hallway. Ella did not notice it at first. She paused the footage. She rewound it. She watched the door close again, focusing this time on the hallway beyond it. And there it was, standing approximately 3 feet back from the door, visible only because the hallway light was on and the angle was just barely sufficient to catch it, before the door closed completely. A shape. Upright. Still. Looking at the door. Ella screamed. Patricia came running. Devon reviewed the footage 3 times before he picked up his phone and called the property management company. He also called 2 neighbors, both of whom had lived in the area for years, and neither of whom seemed particularly surprised when he described what the camera had captured. The older of the 2 neighbors, a woman named Dolores, who had lived in the adjacent property for 31 years, told Devon that the house had a long history of unexplained incidents, that families came and went, that things happened there that could not be filed neatly under any available category. She said this matter-of-factly, the way a person describes the weather or the traffic, without drama, without embellishment. She told him, "That house has always been like that, and the ones who stay are the ones who learn to live alongside it." The Caldwell family did not stay. They were gone by the end of September. Devon left the manufacturing position. Patricia transferred internally to an office in Columbus. The house sat empty for 8 months before a new family signed a lease. Our research team reached out to that family recently. They have now lived there for 14 months. They declined to be interviewed. They said they were fine. They said everything was normal. But when our researcher asked Patricia Caldwell about the footage one last time, the footage of the door, the footage of the shape in the hallway, Patricia was quiet for a long moment before she answered. And then she said, "I think about what it wanted. I still think about what it wanted when it was standing there, looking at my daughter's closed door. I have never stopped thinking about it." We're going to pause here for one moment, and we want to hear from you. Drop your response in the comments right now. Just write the words, "I am still watching." Tell us you made it this far. Tell us the darkness has not found you yet, because we are not even close to finished. We are moving now to Chapter 3, and the location is Minnesota, the city of Duluth. Late November, which in Duluth means temperatures that fall well below freezing before Halloween and stay there, means a particular quality of grey sky that settles over Lake Superior and does not lift for months. Means darkness that comes at 4 in the afternoon and does not release its grip until well after 7 the next morning. This is the kind of darkness that has weight. This is the kind of cold that finds you even indoors. The building at the center of this chapter is a converted warehouse on the western edge of the city. Built in the 1940s, repurposed in the late 1990s as a mixed-use commercial space, it has housed at various points in its existence a small printing company, a storage facility, and most recently, a creative workspace rented out to artists, photographers, and small production companies by the month. A filmmaker named Caleb Rosario rented workspace on the second floor of this building, beginning in October of 2022. He was working on an independent documentary about industrial decline in the Great Lakes region. It was a serious project, a patient project, the kind of work that requires months of slow accumulation before any single frame begins to feel meaningful. Caleb set up a camera in his workspace every morning before he left. He was meticulous about documentation. He recorded B-roll constantly, capturing the light at different times of day, the movement of shadows across the concrete floor, the way the city's industrial landscape was visible through the large north-facing windows. He accumulated hundreds of hours of footage in those first 3 months. He almost missed the thing that was in it. It was a Monday evening in early December. Caleb was reviewing footage from the previous week, skipping through hours of an empty room in fast motion, watching shadows move across the floor in compressed time, the way a room changes when no one is in it. He was looking for particular qualities of light. He was not looking for anything else. At the 47-hour mark of the compiled footage, 47 hours being the accumulated total of 5 days of 12-hour recording sessions, something walked through the background of the frame. Caleb did not notice it on first review. He was moving through the footage at 8 times normal speed. Whatever had walked through the background of his workspace moved quickly enough that it did not register consciously. But something else registered. Some lower, older part of his processing, the part that sits beneath language and beneath reason and belongs to the long evolutionary history of a creature that survived by noticing when it was no longer alone in a space. That part noticed. He stopped the playback. He rewound. He watched at normal speed. At 47 hours, 3 minutes, and 12 seconds into the compiled footage, something walks through the background of Caleb's workspace. It enters from the left side of the frame, moving in the gap between a metal shelving unit and the north-facing windows. It is moving purposefully. It is upright. It crosses the background of the frame in approximately 4 seconds. It does not look at the camera. It disappears on the right side of the frame, beyond the edge of the shelving unit, and does not reappear. The workspace is on the second floor of a converted warehouse. The door was locked. The windows on the north face of the building are 11 feet above the ground outside. There is 1 staircase and 1 service elevator, both of which are visible from the camera's position, and neither of which shows any movement in the minutes surrounding this event. Caleb watched the footage 30 times. He enhanced it. He adjusted the contrast and the brightness and the exposure compensation. He sent it to 3 colleagues he trusted, all of whom worked in film and video production and were therefore practiced at identifying artifacts, compression issues, lens anomalies, and the various ways that digital recording systems produce images that look like something they are not. None of his colleagues could identify a technical explanation for what was in the footage. What Caleb said in the written account he provided to our research team, and this is the part that has stayed with our team since receiving it, was not that the figure in the background was frightening. He had been through enough by that point to be beyond frightened. What Caleb said was that what disturbed him most was the movement, the particular quality of it, the way it moved, and he struggled here in his written account to find words precise enough for what he meant. was not quite wrong. It was not jerky or impossible or defying the mechanics of how a body moves through space. But it was wrong in a subtler way, in the way that something moves when it does not know it is being watched, when it is not performing movement for an audience, when it is simply moving through a space because it belongs to that space in a way that the person watching the footage does not fully understand, like watching something that has been there for a very long time. Moving through a room the way you move through a room in your own home at 3 in the morning, when the lights are off and your body knows the space so well that your feet never hesitate and your hands never reach for a wall. Certain, comfortable, entirely unconcerned. Caleb left the workspace at the end of December. He did not finish the documentary. He has since relocated to the Pacific Northwest and works primarily in photography now. He still keeps cameras running in every space he works in. He told our researcher, when asked why, because I would rather know than not know. He said, "The footage showed me something I could not explain. But what it also showed me was that I had been in that room for 3 months, and whatever I saw on the footage had been in that room too, moving through it, going about whatever it is that such things do in the spaces between our awareness." He said, "I was never alone in there. I just did not know it. If this has already found its way underneath your skin, if you are sitting somewhere right now with the lights turned up a little higher than usual and a feeling you cannot quite name settling into your chest, then go ahead and give this video a like right now. Share it with someone who thinks they are not afraid of the dark, because what comes next is what our research team spent 4 months verifying, and we have not released it until now. Begins with a piece of footage that was submitted to our team in anonymity. No name, no location provided beyond the general region, the American South, somewhere between the Gulf Coast and the interior plains. No identifying details of any kind. Just a file sent through an encrypted submission form and a single line of text that accompanied it. The text said, "I found this on my father's hard drive after he passed. I do not know what it is. I do not know where he recorded it. I do not know what he saw, but I have not been able to watch it more than once, and I cannot keep it any longer." The footage runs for 22 minutes. For the first 14 minutes, it is a man walking through a building. An old building, clearly, with water-damaged walls and broken windows, and the particular quality of light that belongs to an abandoned space in late afternoon. The man is recording with a handheld camera. You can hear him breathing. You can hear his footsteps on floors that are sometimes concrete and sometimes old wood. He is methodical. He is documenting the space. He does not speak for the first 14 minutes. At the 14-minute mark, he stops walking. The camera holds steady on a doorway at the far end of a long room. The doorway leads to another room, darker, no visible window, just shadow beginning approximately 4 feet past the threshold. He is looking at something in that darker room. For 43 seconds he looks at it. The camera is steady. His breathing is steady. And then, very quietly enough that our team had to boost the audio significantly to confirm that what they were hearing was what they thought they were hearing, he says one thing. He says, "You are still here," not a question, a recognition. As though he had been looking for this, as though finding it, whatever it is, in that dark doorway, was the reason he came to this building. As though somewhere between the beginning of the recording and this moment, he moved from documentary filmmaker to something else. Someone paying a call. Someone who has been here before. The camera does not move. The doorway does not change. The darkness beyond the threshold does not shift, but the quality of it changes. The best way our team can describe it, and they have wrestled with this description for 4 months, is that the darkness in the doorway becomes more present, more aware, more occupied. After another 20 seconds of silence, the man with the camera turns around and walks back the way he came. He does not run. He walks at the same measured pace with which he entered the building. He navigates the broken floors and the water-damaged hallways with the ease of someone who knows the path. He exits through a side door, and the footage shows a parking area, and then a dirt road, and then trees on either side. He stops. He turns the camera toward himself. He is older, somewhere in his 60s, grey-haired, with the kind of face that has spent a long time outdoors. He looks directly into the lens and says nothing for a moment. He is not frightened. He is not pale. He looks, if anything, tired. He looks like a man who has been carrying something heavy for a very long time and has just made peace with the fact that he will carry it a little longer. He says, "I have been coming back to that place for 11 years, and every time it is still there. Waiting, just waiting." He pauses. He looks away from the camera down the dirt road. He looks back. He says, "I think it is waiting for me specifically. I think this is what it has been doing since the first time I came here, and I have spent 11 years trying to understand why." He turns the camera off. Those are the last 22 minutes of footage on the hard drive. The person who submitted it to our team has not responded to any follow-up messages. We do not know the name of the man in the footage. We do not know the name of the building. We do not know what he saw in that dark doorway, or what 11 years of returning to it cost him. We only know what he said, and we know that the darkness was waiting. Not for him, or perhaps for him specifically. We do not know which answer is more frightening. There are stories that accumulate at the edges of documented experience. Places that show up repeatedly in unrelated accounts from strangers who have never met and have no reason to invent the same detail. A long hallway where the cold concentrates. A tree line where something stands still for too long. A doorway and the specific quality of darkness beyond it that shifts when you have been watching long enough. These stories keep arriving. They keep coming in through submission forms and email addresses and letters written by hand on notebook paper by people who do not want their names used and have never told anyone else what happened to them. They keep arriving because the people who send them do not know what else to do with what they recorded. They cannot unsee it. They cannot unfeel the moment when the footage confirmed what some part of them already knew. That not everything in the dark is a shadow, and not everything watching you from the edge of the known world has a name. Marcus Webb still drives trucks, but he takes different routes now. Patricia Caldwell still thinks about what the shape in the hallway wanted from her daughter's closed door. Caleb Rosario still runs cameras in every space he works in because he would rather know. The man on the dirt road in the American South came back 11 years in a row to stand at the threshold of a dark doorway and speak to whatever was waiting there. And somewhere in Oregon, at a rest stop on a highway running through the Cascade Mountains, there is a tree line. And if you stop there long enough after midnight, and if your dash cam is running, and if you look at the footage the next morning carefully enough, you will find the upper left corner of the frame, and you will see what is standing there, and it will have already seen you. These are not the only cases. They are not the most extreme cases. They are not even the most recent cases. They are simply the ones that have survived, the footage that was reviewed and submitted and verified and passed through enough hands that we can say with confidence, something was recorded here. Something that does not have a clean explanation. Something that belongs to the vast category of things that happen quietly, in ordinary places, to ordinary people, and leave a mark that does not wash out. There are more cases in our archive. There will be more in the next video. There will be footage from places you have driven past, and rooms you have slept in, and highways you have pulled off of without thinking twice. There will be timestamps and analysts and people who said they were fine, and people who said they could not explain it, and people who simply stopped answering. Because sometimes the scariest thing about evidence of something you cannot explain is that the explanation, when you finally get close enough to it, is worse than not knowing. We have hours more of this. We have cases from states you live in, from buildings that are still occupied. from cameras that are still running in rooms where the footage has not yet been reviewed. We have accounts from people who recorded something they cannot identify and who still sleep in the same house, in the same room, within a few feet of the same dark corner where the camera was aimed on the night everything changed. We are just getting started. And if you made it this far, if you have been sitting with us through every slow, careful minute of what you just witnessed, through the tree line and the hallway door and the workspace on the second floor and the man on the dirt road, then you already know that you are exactly the kind of person who needs to be here. You already know you are going to come back. So subscribe now if you have not yet, because we release new verified cases regularly, and the next compilation goes even deeper into footage that our team held back because it required additional analysis and because a few members of the team asked us to wait. They wanted more time with it. They wanted to be sure of what they were looking at before we shared it with you. That footage is ready now, and you are going to want to be here when it arrives. If you watched this all the way to the end, if you sat with every case, every piece of footage, every account from people who cannot explain what their cameras recorded, then leave a comment right now that says, "I watched until the dark." Let us know you made it. Let us know you are still with us. Because the people who stay until the end are the ones who understand that the most important thing about documented evidence of the unexplained is not the footage itself. It is the willingness to look at it directly, to not look away, to sit in the discomfort of not knowing and let it tell you something real. Give this video a like if it stayed with you. Share it with someone who needs to understand that the dark is not empty. It never was. And that cameras, running quietly in ordinary places, have been showing us the truth of that for as long as we have had cameras to run. The footage does not lie. The darkness has always been occupied. And the next thing your camera records might be the thing that changes what you believe. We will see you in the next one. If you are still here, if you made it all the way through, leave a comment saying, "I watched until the dark." I want to find you in the comments. I want to know who is brave enough to sit with this until the very end. And if you enjoyed this video, hit like and share it with one person you know, just one, who thinks they are not afraid. Let the footage decide.